What is your favorite win con in your deck? Welcome to MTG's Tuesday's Tips and Tricks, as we talk about different tips and tricks to help you get better at Magic the Gathering. And we are continuing our series on CEDH. And so, today I want to talk about going for the win in CEDH. Now, going for a win in CEDH is completely different than typically going for a win in a normal game of Magic, in a casual, more level 3, level 2, level 1, even a level 4 sometimes is completely different. And that is because everyone wants to go for the win. And there are a lot of ways to go for a win on top of other people's wins. And so it makes it tricky knowing how to go. Because typically in Magic the Gathering, if you're playing a normal game and you have win in hand, your only worry is, does the blue player have a counter spell? And if there's no blue player at the table, it's kind of like, do they have a removal spell? What can you stack? How can you stack it to still continue your win con without being stopped? So that is kind of the thought process there. That is how it goes. That's where it goes and how you can do it. But on top of that, though, it is a lot of fun. And going for a win and thinking about it, it takes a minute. And sometimes you go for it and you just can't do it. Or sometimes you go for it and they make you draw a card and you lose the game. It happens. It happened to me the other day. Sometimes you go for your win while someone else is trying to go for their win and they still pull out the win on top of you. So when should you go for the win? How should you go for the win? So typically in most decks nowadays in CEDH, and this is really since I've been playing, a lot of the decks, especially since the faster mana and certain things have been banned, it's a little bit slower, so a little more mid-range. You kind of get your stuff out there, and then you kind of go for the win kind of in the middle of the game. There are some decks that just go for it. If you're playing Rogsai, which is just go fast and jam your win, and you hope no one counters it, but even if they do, as long as it goes to the graveyard, you still can try to go back for your win of multiple other options. You have ways to play other people's spells and stuff like that. And so typically they kind of just go for it. Everyone else is kind of like, okay, we're going to play until I have a little bit of an advantage here, and then I'll go for it. So you can have that win turn 1, and you might as well go for it sometimes on turn 1. If you have a turn 1 win, try it. Turn 2 win, try it. Sometimes you can also guess, is everyone kept the greedy hand? I see a bunch of mana out here. Everyone has like 1 or 2 cards. Did they keep counter spells or no? A lot of times, though, when you go for your win con, you kind of want to have stuff to back it up, which means you either want to make it where your opponents can't cast spells on your turn. So a Grand Abolisher, a Teferi, you want to cast a Silence, so that basically you can only play on your turn and no one else can cast a spell. Then if that resolves, no one stops it, everyone's going to try to stop it. Then you can kind of go for your win. No one can do anything to stop it, realistically, outside of like a Boseiju or outside of like a bounce land, Odoara. That's about it. But if not, then people will go for the win. And you got to watch it, because you got to also watch and see if someone's going for a win. You could try to go for the win on top of them. The ways you do that is if you have cards that enable flash. So like a lot of the decks, especially if you're playing in blue for the most part, other decks kind of a little bit. So if you have blue, which are the majority of the format has at least a version of blue, some kind of blue in their deck, you're going to go for the win with, okay, I am casting Born Upon a Win. I'm casting, there's the Flash Otter. There's the new fairy that flashes in, and you do it, you go quick, and then you try to win on top of it with being able to like cast spells and draw cards and all of that stuff and go for it. Also, there's a land that does it, lets you cast spells basically as though they had flash. I believe is what is it, Emergent Zone, I believe. So there's lots of ways to go for the win, and you kind of want to have that built in your deck. You kind of don't just want to sit there and be like, I don't know when to go for the win. I have to go for it on my turn. The decks that win the most are decks that can win anytime and on top of people's wins. Because I've literally watched, and it happened to me, I went for the win, did everything possible to go for the win, and because someone else was casting their game-winning card. I didn't have a counter spell, I'm going to stop that, but I had a way to try to possibly protect my win. So I went for my win, used the one counter spell I could to stop what they were trying to stop, but then on top of that, they got lucky, was able to hit everything. And so it can happen, and it does happen. You just have to be patient and know when to go at the right time. Sometimes you just go for it, and guess what? It gets countered, it gets stopped. I had a game the other night where my win con got stopped 3 times. 3 different times. I was able to try it again and again, and it still got stopped, but you still try, and it's fun. So that's the fun part, is figuring out, and it takes a minute with each deck. Every deck is a little bit different of exactly when you should try to go for it. A lot of times, though, you kind of want to make sure you look at the board, okay, how much mana is open. That doesn't always matter who's got commanders out. because obviously there are spells that can be cast with commanders. Okay, outside of that, okay, who's running blue? What kind of cards are in their hand? Where are they at? You know, because you also want to see, okay, that person's like 4 or 5 mana up. They could then cast a Born Upon a Wind or a flash creature, or if they have one of the Otter or the Fairy already in play, no, they can cast spells as though they had flash or at basically instant speed. That is why, again, a Teferi, if you're in white, Teferi, blue-white, a Grand Abolisher, the new creature card that just came out, can't remember the name of it, but it does a similar thing. People can't cast spells on your turn. A Silence. Those slow that down and basically allow you to resolve stuff without anybody doing anything. But it also, you got to play at the right time because they're going to try to stop those spells. Because typically when someone goes to play that spell, one of those versions of the spell, they're going for the win on that turn. So keep that in mind as well, to how to stop the other people's wins. You want to stop their wins so you can get your wins. And so you kind of have to learn, and it's a learning process. It takes time. I'm still learning. I've been doing this for almost a year now, playing CEDH, and I still make a lot of mistakes. I'm still learning. I still am trying to figure out the balance of cards, when to go for that win, watching people, how they try to go for the win and stuff like that. So it's still a lot of fun. That's what makes CEDH so much fun, is people can win out of nowhere. It's like, RKO out of nowhere. You can get a win out of nowhere, and it's a lot of fun. And, if you have questions about CEDH, I want to do some more stuff. I want to talk about some more things, continue the series of CEDH. I want to do some CEDH commanders and CEDH cards and talk about them on here as well. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this channel. Thank you so much for being part of these Tuesday Tips and Tricks. I absolutely enjoy giving tips and tricks and helping people get better. If you would like more information or like some help or want to play some CEDH, feel free to reach out. Love to get some games in with people as well, because I'm always looking to improve and get better. But thank you guys so much for being here, and as always, go get a CEDH deck, give it a try, go play, go have some fun, learn, make a lot of mistakes. That's the best way to learn, making lots of mistakes, losing lots of games, figuring out how your deck works, replaying it in your head, and eventually you'll get to where it's just like, aha, I got it. I know when I should go for the win with this deck. But thank you guys so much for being here, and as always, we'll see you next time.